It is time for episode 182 of the Tech Informist podcast. Let's get started. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Kevin.
I'm Brad.
On this episode, we are going to talk about Foxconn narrowing potential factory locations to 7 states here in the U.S.
Sega Forever?
Is it time to plug in your Google Glass devices again?
Choose your own adventure, Netflix style.
What's new today with you, sir? How are you doing?
Pretty well. I'm waiting on some rain that I imagine we could use right now. But, yeah, things are going.
Yeah, we are a very dry state right now. We could definitely use some rain.
Which is kind of hilarious because a couple months ago we were drowning, so...
Exactly. We were swimming, literally, in certain places. And some of the roads, actually, that were closed because of flooding, one of them is actually still closed. At least according to the interstate signs, you know, that the highway department puts up, those nice little orange and black signs, electronic ones. One little stretch is actually still closed. I guess it really damaged it that much. Strange.
Weird,
yeah. So like we mentioned at the top, Foxconn is narrowing its potential factory locations here in the United States. And we all know Foxconn as the company that assembles a lot of the smartphones and technology gadgets that we all know and love from a variety of companies, such as Apple being one of them. But they've decided, hey, we're going to start setting up some United States manufacturing plants in, quote, several states.
So what states are these?
Currently, according to Bloomberg, reports that Foxconn chairman Terry Gou, G-O-W, has named a mix of Midwest and some other states, such as Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Illinois, Wisconsin, Indiana, and Texas.
I would imagine Illinois would give them a decent tax break just to get the business in the door.
Yeah, you would think, but I don't know, really, can Illinois afford to give people much tax breaks considering they're bordering on the brink of bankruptcy?
Yeah, maybe not.
When you've got like Powerball or Mega Millions, these lottery industries, whatever, threatening to stop the sale of tickets in
if
their
you're
state.
In Illinois, I would highly recommend not buying a lottery ticket because if you do win, they're probably not going to pay you, and there goes your one and only chance. So,
right. That would be like the woman that was at a casino and she won like this huge jackpot, and they came over and like, oh, this was a machine error. Sorry, here's a free buffet on us.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that turned into a lawsuit.
Yeah, it better have. Like,
Like how you get a machine malfunction. Now, I didn't read the story. I'm just going based on the headline, but man, it just doesn't seem right.
Shame on you, not reading the story.
So according to this move from Foxconn, it could create, quote, tens of thousands of jobs, end quote. But there's no, like, details. So the company has previously announced that it already deploys 40,000 robots on its production lines and is working towards a goal of fully automated factories, with the U.S. display plant plans also described as highly automated. Makes sense. It's going to be new factories, new facilities. You're going to want to put in some of the more higher technology to help assemble these things fast and
and the whole automation thing is interesting. I was sort of reading an article the other day where they think by, I think it's like 2049 or something like that, like you and I would probably be only working 15 hours a week because of so much of the automation that's coming up. Mm-hmm. I'd say that's possible, but then what do you do when you don't get paid, in quotations, that full work week? Or is that a full work week at that point, and you just get paid what you would have, normal 40 hours?
Companies don't usually like to pay when you're not there.
Depends who you work for. I feel that Microsoft would. I really do. I think
it's possible.
We might have less jobs available, but for those of us who may be there for a while, I don't know. It's an interesting thought process, just because we've never really encountered something that takes away so many jobs that it displaces the job market. And I feel like that could potentially happen. Now, I could be wrong, and some crazy new thing comes out and you need a lot of people to do this thing or whatever.
Right.
But that remains to be seen so far. So
now, between Brad and myself, there is an age gap, at least 10 years. I mean, I'm 41, you're
29.
So 12 years. So there's an age gap. I've seen some things and worked in different industries than you have, and vice versa. Mm-hmm. So I've been in the automotive industry, where in factory settings assembling vehicles. And I've seen it change over the 14 and a half years that I was there, how much automation came in over that decade and almost a half.
How much?
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
Like whenever they built the new body shop, it was predominantly all robots out there assembling things, and you had fewer people that just had to load little individual parts in there, and then the robotic arms come in and pull it into the middle and start welding all the stuff together. And it just gradually moved into more automation. I can only imagine what it'd be like touring a remodeled factory today, since I've been out of that industry for almost 9 years now.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what a new factory would look like.
Just look at Tesla, just for an example.
Right.
The robot that builds the robot.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a great way to put it there. So they talk about some of the components and stuff that these new United States factories could make. Would be like a display plant could be used to make iPhone displays, but more of the rumors are for larger panels, such as those used for TVs and monitors. So we'll see what's going to happen. And I mean, it's good.
Does that mean they'll be cheaper?
Well, I mean, the argument has always been if you manufacture in the United States, it's higher to make things in the United States because of wages.
I wonder if that's going away, though.
I would imagine so. I just don't see how cost efficient it can be to ship things over on an ocean.
Yeah, totally.
On boats that takes much longer to get the product here.
And then on top of that, ship it out from the shipping yard in different trucks, whereas you could just go straight from the factory in trucks and go.
Right. It's not like the boat can drop off in here in St. Louis, Missouri, so it's a shorter distribution, which is one of the things I always thought with Chrysler was like, St. Louis is a great spot because you're right there in the center of the United States. You're pretty much close evenly to everywhere to distribute the vehicles.
Well, except California, but...
Yeah, I mean, obviously. But obviously it didn't matter because now the whole complex is now a parking lot.
It's
leveled. Nothing there. Leveled. All gone. Bye-bye. And all those jobs went to Detroit, Canada, and Mexico. But I hear they might be bringing some of them back, not to St. Louis because they'd have to rebuild new factories, but at least bringing them back to the United States in some way, shape, or form. But kind of moral of the story, what I was getting to about the age difference, you can go to school, but make sure you've got a nice general degree, not something that's highly specialized.
Unless they need a lot of people in that field.
Yeah, make sure that you and your counselors are doing the proper footwork to look at those 10-year, 20-year projection kind of things.
Yeah, I often wonder how different things would have been had I had went for computer science at Rankin versus cars.
Yeah. I mean, what you're doing now, you might have been able to start 5, 6, 7 years ago or something.
Yeah.
For example. So I don't remember how long you were at CarStar.
9 years.
9 years, so.
So I could have started, well, that didn't even exist 9 years ago, but, or at least the store didn't, but who knows? I don't know. It's just an interesting thing.
Just make sure that as the world continues and we all get older, that you've got to be ready to pivot with a career. You got to be ready to make a change, and you got to be well-rounded individual, not just focused on one thing. And trades like plumbing, electrical, and welding and stuff like that.
I would say that that's sometimes where your hobbies come into play, where I literally, 9 years ago when I started CarStar, I didn't know a lick about computers. And then, I was tinkering around with my Xbox, and then I started learning stuff about computers, parts, all that stuff. And anything I know now, well, not quite now, but maybe a year ago, up to a year ago, I was kind of self-taught, so that's kind of cool.
That's one of the things that you definitely got to do. You always got to be learning something. Whether you're watching YouTube or whatever, if someone needs a hand, go help them. You might learn something, even if you've never done it before.
Yeah.
You can always learn. Always be learning. Speaking of the past, Sega is rolling out something they call Sega Forever, which is classic games collection. And these are, we'll just put in quotes, free on mobile.
This is such a cool idea.
This is really a cool idea. Now, I do not know the entire scope of what Sega is wanting to do in regards to what games in particular are going to be out there. But here's what this Sega Forever plan is all about. And again, it's free. Mobile games, Android, iOS. But it's a free and growing classic games collection of nearly every Sega game ever released from every console era. So this includes the Sega Master System, the Genesis/Mega Drive, the Dreamcast, and more. So you figure Saturn, Game Gear, maybe some other game systems that they've done as well. Play free, save your game progress. You got leaderboards, controller support. So for those of you with 8-bit Do or 8-bit Do, whatever, those little wireless Bluetooth controllers, you're good to go. You just sync them up to your phone, and away you go. You can play the games the way games are meant to be played. It's really tough to play on a mobile device with a touchscreen and stuff like that. And you've got offline play, which people that know about Super Mario Run, if you don't have an internet connection, you can't play Super Mario Run.
I almost feel like it's a small jab at Nintendo.
That part kind of is, in a way, a little bit.
We're going to see a rekindling of the
Console Wars?
Console Wars?
You never know.
Round 2. Fight.
Round 2. There you go.
No, but the ones that are out now are kind of a lot of classic Sega games, including Sonic the Hedgehog, Altered Beast, Phantasy Star 2, Kid Chameleon, and Comic Zone. The last two I'm not too familiar with, but
Comic Zone I don't remember playing, but I know it's very well received. It was just supposed to be a very fun game. Phantasy Star 2, familiar with, obviously. Altered Beast, yeah, everybody pretty much knows that. And, of course, everyone knows about Sonic the Hedgehog. Whether you've played it or not, you at least know about it.
Who's that?
Yeah, who's the blue guy? So I think it's kind of interesting. I installed Sonic the Hedgehog on my iPhone last night, tried it out. You have...
Did you hook up a Bluetooth?
No, I didn't. I just played it with right there on the touchscreen just to try it. Went through the first level. Then there's like a special level, and then it would go into a second one. So it's not like necessarily remastered, but there's some added things to it. Free to play with ads, or you can unlock it to where you don't have to deal with ads for $1.99.
Oh, well,
I mean, that's not a terrible price.
No, it's a no-brainer. Here, take my $2. I don't want to see your ads anymore.
Yeah. It's got all the nice Sega sounds and stuff like that with the introduction and stuff.
Sega.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it. So we're going to include a link here for forever.sega.com that you can go look at.
If there's any way they can get around the licensing of the Jurassic Park game on Sega, I'm there.
That's where I'm curious is, will they just be releasing Sega first-party games?
Possibly second-party.
Things to do with licensing and all that stuff?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Anything that has an external license, I would imagine is going to be a lot harder. Or anything with like custom, in quotations, music, because it's not full blown, music. Really, it's kind of that 8-bit, 16-bit kind of music. I don't know what else to call it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that should be interesting to see what kind of pops up in there and how well this is received and does.
Right. I mean, hopefully it does good enough.
I mean, I'm excited about this. This is cool. I wish more gaming companies would do things like this. Like, once you get to a certain point, it should be like a movie. Like, it should just be public domain almost. I mean, games haven't been around for that long to maybe be like that, but maybe some of them have.
Yeah, it's all about cashing in on nostalgia, man.
Yeah.
Everybody loves things from their childhood because it rekindles those childhood feelings of excitement.
Warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, and the thing here that really gets me still, that has me questioning it, is the quote, nearly every Sega game. We'll see.
What does that mean?
Exactly. we don't know just yet, but it's off to a good start. They're like,
oh yeah, totally.
Like Brad mentioned, there's 5 games currently available. More coming soon. You can sign up to get new game alerts via email, so that you know when that stuff's there.
I mean, I just imagine they had to have started out with kind of the bigger ones to see what people were going to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you put out some of the more popular, well-known ones and go from there. I don't know. Looking forward to seeing what they do with this, though, because a lot of great Sega games out there that I know a lot of people have not had an opportunity to play, but they could play if they want to go through the ROM emulation.
Yeah.
But this way you're at least playing official licensed stuff directly from them.
Hey, if they offer official, I'm there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would always go official where I would have the best chance of no issues.
Yeah, I mean, sure, keep the ROM around for the simple fact of like game preservation.
Mm-hmm.
But again, if they offer that straight up official game release of those games, I really highly suggest at least downloading it to show interest. You don't have to pay the $2, but I mean, if you have the extra cash and you really believe in the system, I would suggest and support.
Support. Because when you support, that gives them incentive to say, oh, maybe people really do like this, and let's keep investing in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best way to do it. And another thing that what's old is possibly new again.
I never thought I'd see this title again.
I never did either. And Google Glass apparently just got its first update in nearly 3 years. So if you've got Google Glass, you can go dig them out and dust them off. And
I wonder if they're gearing up for something, or if they're just doing it to kind of please people. Like, what's the motivation behind updating a 3-year-old piece of tech that virtually nobody uses?
I mean, it's older than that. It just hasn't had an update in 3 years. That's what's crazy.
Yeah, like, I don't know. It's so strange.
So Google Glass got a My Glass companion app update, which this is some bug fixes, and it all now supports Bluetooth. And that means the new XE23 version can now hook up mice, keyboards, and other Bluetooth-enabled objects. I don't know. It's like Glass never really died. It's just people stopped talking about it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Google kind of stopped updating it.
Well, especially when the HoloLens sort of dipped its toe in, like, hey, we're the future. Everybody's like, what the heck is this Google Glass? We want one of those.
Right. And Google shut down the website back in 2015, but they just kind of moved from Google Glass to working on things like Project Tango and Daydream and the other AR, VR stuff.
Got rid of one of them, I thought. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. It's fine.
Yeah,
Project Aria, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, Project Aura. That was the modular phone with all the modules.
That's what I was thinking of.
That I still think would be a great idea to plug and play, that you're more focused on. You want a better camera, so you get the better camera module. Mm-hmm. And you want better battery, so you get the one with the better battery module. And
I'm going to have a big module by the time we're done.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you've got Google Glass, let us know. Does this move your needle at all? Did you like, oh, cool, let's install the update and start wearing it again? Because I haven't seen one in a long time.
Me either. The only thing that sort of interests me about it is the fact that you could just start recording something cool that you're doing and not have to strap a bigger camera to your head or
a big
face
bulky camera and stuff like that. Because you look at the headsets
for GoPros and stuff is really what I'm referring to.
Still, it's all so big. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what Google decides to do with this. If they wait another 3 years to update, or maybe they'll release some updates a little bit more, and maybe they've got it figured out to what they want to actually do with it. Maybe there'll be a Glass 2 coming sometime in the near future. Who knows?
Now, wouldn't that be interesting?
Wouldn't that be something? Yeah.
Well, so, I mean, that's not too far off, though, because if you remember right before the iPhone launched, the Google phone equivalent looked very much like a BlackBerry.
Mm-hmm.
Then the iPhone hit, and they scrapped everything and, turned it over to what was, I guess, the G1 or whatever they called it.
Yeah.
On T-Mobile.
Mm-hmm.
It's very possible that Google Glass could turn into something similar to a HoloLens.
Could. We never know what Google is up to. They're always working on something. So we'll see. All right, next story. Brad, when you were a younger fellow, do you remember the Choose Your Own Adventure books?
So I never had any of those, but I know what you're talking about.
Okay, so you do at least know of them.
Yes.
Where most of them, obviously, these were like focused on kids.
I take that back. I did have one, but I don't remember what it was.
Okay.
Because I remember you have to if you choose this, flip to this page. If you choose this, flip to this page. And then you just read no, I don't want that one. I want to yep, this is the one I want.
So you go back, you're like, all right, this story is a little bit better. So Netflix is actually kind of bringing that to movies and TV shows with interactive storytelling where you, the viewer, get to choose what happens next.
Sort of like a video game.
Sort of like a video game, yes. So Netflix has Puss in Boots, which people know Puss in Boots from Shrek 2. That's where the Antonio Banderas voiced character first came to be in the animated world. And this is kind of where they decided to go with. You get to choose, like, for example, should the three bears, like Goldilocks and the three bears, be friends or foes? And you get to make that choice. And based on your decision, it will determine, how the video is going to go. I'm curious to see how this is actually going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to have the right equipment. Like, for example, it doesn't work with things like Chromecast, but if you've got like a Roku or something where you have like an interactive remote that you can choose things, then yeah, it'll work like that.
So I would imagine this would work on PCs and consoles easily.
Yeah, you would imagine. So at launch, the titles will be available on most TV experiences as well as iOS devices. And I'm going to look this up with some more devices because you just need to have a better idea. So the Netflix website, Android devices, Chromecast, and Apple TV do not support interactive content at this time.
Womp womp.
But like you said, interactive content is available on many newer devices, including smart TVs, streaming media players, game consoles, and iOS devices running the latest version of the Netflix app. Sometimes a device update is needed to ensure your TV has the newest Netflix app. If you are not sure how to update the system software on your TV, check your owner's manual or contact the manufacturer. So again, this kind of goes back to it's geared more towards kids because they're more apt to want to
interact,
do stuff like this.
And
click and touch and do whatever.
When I think about a game that is closer to like a show or a movie, I always think of the Telltale series, like The Walking Dead. The one that I really like, Wolf Among Us, that one is really good. The Borderlands one is really good. I mean, any of those that you're kind of watching a show and you make split decisions, like lickety split. Otherwise, if you can't make the decision in the time that it takes for the timer to run out, you essentially say nothing. Which I guess you could go through the whole game like that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I guess you could. I don't know. So we'll see just how well this whole interactive storytelling works out on Netflix, and maybe it's something that'll stick and people will come up with some great experiences. We'll find out. Not exactly sure when this rolls out or if it's already out or not. Let's see. So a couple things launch globally.
July 14th, perhaps?
So the Puss in Boots, I think, is out now, and then something else comes out, like you said.
Buddy
Thunderstruck.
Yeah.
Comes out on July 14th. And the third branching narrative, called Stretch Armstrong, The Breakout, is in the works. So,
like the toy?
I believe so. So the Stretch Armstrong doll, where you just pull his arms and he just stretches out.
Until you break him.
Until you break him. It looks like he's going to be coming out.
Huh.
How about that, folks? And if you don't have a device that you can interact with, it just plays the whole linear standard version. I guess you just get one ending. I would presume the other ways you get different endings. So I might have to try that and just see what this is like.
Yeah, definitely.
Go check my smart TV and play that, or try it out on the Xbox One.
Yeah, I mean, this would definitely be geared a lot more, again, towards people who want to interact with something. There are the subset of people who just don't care and just want to sit down and watch something.
Mm-hmm.
So, it'd be interesting.
Very. Now it's time for our app entertainment and hardware pick segment of the show.
Yeah, we really didn't have a main topic this week.
No, it's
things have been kind of going
light news week, really. Just because I was looking back through some things from 3, 4, 5 days ago, I'm like, there's really nothing that's standing out to me.
No.
I mean, the OnePlus 5 is apparently
a thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's selling well, like pre-order wise and stuff like that. Like the 8 gig version, I believe, pre-order is sold out. But then again, maybe they only had 2,000 available. I don't know. It's easy to say. And it's tough to trust them because there's also that little news story about them kind of gaming the system when it comes to benchmark performance and stuff like that, with a full-blown hardware mode that can make your phone possibly overheat if you let it run too long in that state.
Well, we'll see when the real world hits.
Yeah.
So
you can always go by reviewers' opinions, but real-world experience is oftentimes much different. But first up, it seems like this is like a retro episode. Super Mario Brothers has come to life with a little help from HoloLens and a developer from, I guess, New York. Abhishek Singh, 28-year-old developer, has managed to recreate the entire level of World 1-1 in Super Mario Brothers on the mixed reality headset using Unity, and then he proceeded to film himself playing it in New York Central Park. Now, I got a chance to watch the video, and it's very interesting to see how this works and how he's interacting with it. So the video shows his perspective, what he's seeing, and then there's also like a camera that is aimed on him and how he's like reacting to what he is seeing, so you can't see anything in that little video except the people walking by looking at him. But some of the people look at him like, what the hell are you doing? But it's actually funny, you know. He can stomp on Goombas and get the fire power flower and throw fireballs and stuff like that, and hit blocks for coins and things like that. It's really, really neat how he did it.
It's also interesting that people keep doing this with Nintendo titles, i.e. the older Pokemon Go stuff last summer.
Yeah. Yeah, now, I mean, obviously this is not a release kind of thing, but it's just something that he worked on and showcased to what could possibly be done.
Oh, now that's cool. So just kind of watching it as we're talking about it, they have like those pits that you fall in. Like when you look over the sidewalk,
right,
you're looking down into the pit.
Right.
That's cool.
Yeah, and how he lets like the one-up mushroom like fall down in it. And then he has to jump over it and different things like that. But another thing, too, he walks past, like, the pipes. He doesn't jump on the pipes to get past them. He can just walk by them. So it's not like true realism, true to detail kind of thing.
Well, it's kind of hard when it's just a hologram. But
exactly.
At the same time, it's the fact that he's even that close is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's just really well done, the fact that what he was able to do, and get some of the sound effects in there. And throwing the fireballs seems to take a little bit getting used to because you're doing that pinch move, like you're to interact, and that's how you throw the fireballs. I thought it was really neat. And we're going to link to this video and the story that's actually available on Windows Central, it's all through Upload VR. Really, really neat thing to watch. And how long does the video say it is?
Oh, I just
it's like
it's not that long.
No, it's not very long at all. So just a few minutes of your time. I think you'll enjoy it. It's got all the sounds and all that stuff. Really, really neat. Next up, some news that kind of came out of nowhere this week, that the directors of the standalone Han Solo movie, Phil Lord and Chris Miller, were actually let go from the project after they had some creative differences over style and tone with Kathleen Kennedy of Disney.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this was probably a better move because if you have people that are arguing not willing to work together because of the tone that you're trying to bring, maybe it's just best to let them go and pick someone fresh and then try again.
Mm-hmm. And whenever they say fresh, love 'em or hate 'em, Ron Howard has been named as the new director of Lucasfilm and Disney's untitled Han Solo movie. And it's official. I think it's kind of good. I like Ron Howard's work.
Yeah. And he's a really big Star Wars fan, as are most of us. So he wants to do it justice. Like, he doesn't want to make a bad thing, especially when it's something as beloved as Star Wars to him. I mean, he even says in a tweet, like, I'm beyond grateful to add my voice to Star Wars universe after being a fan since 5/25/77. Mm-hmm. And I can only imagine that was pretty dang close to release of Star Wars.
I'm sure that was day one of Star Wars. And the thing is, the timing is kind of odd because they were about 3/4 of the way through the principal photography, and the replacement of a director at this stage is you don't hear of this with something that far into production
unless it's Star Wars.
The movie was scheduled to shoot for 3.5 more weeks, with 5 weeks of reshoots built into the schedule. So I'm curious to see what twists and changes he might make into this.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to, like you said, to see maybe his touches versus the older ways of how it was done. I don't even know if we'll be able to tell the difference at some point.
Yeah, obviously you're going to have to know the work of Phil Lord and Chris Miller to be able to see. Okay, so that was them, and this is Ron Howard's interpretation. Because you don't hear of something of this magnitude. The only other thing that I can think of that might even remotely come close for comparison would be the original Back to the Future, and the fact that Michael J. Fox was not originally tagged to play Marty McFly. That was Eric Stoltz.
Mm-hmm.
So they went through and shot so much of Back to the Future with Eric Stoltz, and they're like, something just ain't working. So then they finally brought Michael J. Fox in because he was on hiatus break from filming Family Ties at the time. And then they just went back and reshot all these scenes and stuff like that. It extended the production time for that movie. But it worked. Obviously, it's still a very popular movie. And the choice was made for the positive because it turned out fantastic again. Oh, let's see. So we got Alden Ehrenreich is playing Han Solo. Donald Glover is playing Lando Calrissian. Woody Harrelson, Emilia Clarke, and Thandie Newton also are on the cast. That'll be interesting. Filming set to resume July 10th. I guess many people know Emilia Clarke from Game of Thrones.
Oh, yes. That's coming back up very quickly. Can't wait.
Yep. Yeah, so Ron Howard's excited to be on there. He's done Apollo 13 and won an Oscar for 2002's Beautiful Mind. And obviously, he's worked with Lucas in the past, so it's not like him and George Lucas have never crossed paths because Ron Howard was in George Lucas's American Graffiti back in 1973.
Oh, that's fascinating.
And he also worked with Lucas on 1988's Willow.
Interesting.
And Ron Howard also revealed on a podcast back in 2015 that George Lucas approached him to direct the 1999 Star Wars prequel, The Phantom Menace. So
I wonder why he turned that down.
I don't know. It might have been just something he's like, George, I don't know if I want to run the risk of
damaging his career.
Yeah, of it not doing well.
Well, maybe he looked at the story and he was like, "Oh, I don't know about this." Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. That's hard to say, but I mean, he's all about it this time. So.
Oh yeah, he's apparently all in, and production kicks back on July 10th, and the film is slated to release on May 25th, 2018. So there's still plenty of time.
Roughly a year away.
Plenty of time. I'm excited. I'm curious to see what's gonna.
Yeah, I'm curious to see that next iteration of a Star Wars movie outside of the main storyline.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of Star Wars movies, Star Wars... Okay, so it's not really that. It's Rogue One, a Star Wars story, is going to be available on Netflix sometime in July here in the United States.
I guess this is due to that licensing deal Netflix made with Disney.
Right.
That would be my only guess. Because normally, like something like this, no fat chance.
Yeah.
I'll be curious to sit down and watch it again.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to watching it again. I've really been wanting to watch it again. And
because, like, overall, like, it wasn't the best movie, but it also wasn't the worst movie. It was just kind of there, like, in the center for me.
I enjoyed it just because it was not... I mean, it's obviously it's tied into the Star Wars universe and the timeline and everything, but it wasn't, okay, so we know these characters and all that. There's not a whole bunch of familiar, well-known characters. It's
not really.
Just bridging the story from, the prequel trilogy to what we know and love from episodes 4, 5, and 6. So it goes from episode 3 to episode 4, bridges that gap a little bit.
Yeah, and I said this the first time I saw the movie. I feel like when you watch this movie, you appreciate 4 even more. Maybe that's just me, but yeah, I don't know. I will definitely sit down and watch it again. Mm-hmm. Whether or not Sarah will be the question, but I mean,
Did she watch it? Has she already watched it?
Yeah, we both saw it in theater at the same time, but it was just more of once she sees something and doesn't like it, it's hard to get her to revisit it sometimes. So a lot more time needs to pass, maybe.
Okay.
So, I don't know.
Can definitely respect that. So, July 2017, Rogue One, a Star Wars story, Netflix. Be there.
Oh, beer. Did you say beer? Or is there a voice in my head?
It could just be a little voice in your head. I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder myself. But yeah, this week I am going to stay away from theme park beers, since we talked about that last week. But I'm still sticking in Florida. And with that, I picked up a little mix of 6 right before I left. And the very first one out of the pack that I picked up, and the very first one I had, was Miami Vice by MIA Beer Co.
No, he did not say Miami Vice.
Wise.
Yeah.
As in, like, a Wise beer, or as in a kind of wheat beer. But, so it's a Hefeweizen, and I must say it's a fantastic Hefeweizen. Like, very, very delicious. You definitely get hints of those banana clove aftertastes when drinking it. Super crisp. It's such an enjoyable beer, and sometimes it's so hard to keep explaining beer after beer after beer, because like there are so many that are crisp and this and that, and all I can say is I really was kind of taken aback by this one, particularly because I got to try a lot more local flavor this time, or at least pick some up to try. But yeah, highly, highly recommended. And the can alone is pretty cool. It's straight out of the 80s. I mean, it looks like it comes from Miami. So
Right. It looks bubblegum and cotton candy style to me.
Yeah,
That's
pretty
what
much.
I think of. I would not think it's what the description is.
Oh, yeah, totally. But, yeah, it doesn't have an overall great rating, but coming from a place in St. Louis where we have amazing Hefeweizens, including the Unfiltered Wheat by Kansas City Brewing Company and Boulevard, yes, and Schlafly, this stands up to those very well. Either that or I had like the best batch they ever made. I'm not sure which.
Yeah, sometimes obviously different batches are different quality.
Yeah, it was very good.
Nice.
I would love to have it on tap sometime.
What'd you end up giving it?
That's a great question. I believe I gave it a nice solid 4, maybe more.
Okay.
4.25.
Okay. And its average rating is 3.64 out of 6,800 ratings, roughly.
Yeah.
Nice. One last thing, too, before we end up wrapping up that we forgot to mention in the App and Entertainment picks is that I did get a chance to see Cars 3 back on Father's Day.
Oh.
And I liked the Cars series, didn't really care as much for 2, and I think that's pretty much the general consensus that 2 just...
Too big of a misstep the other direction.
Yeah, it was just getting a little crazy that Mater is not really kind of a leading character for a movie in reality. So this was kind of back to its roots a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was pretty entertaining. My dad and wife went with me, and we all 3 enjoyed it. And
so overall, what would you give it out of 10?
Out of 10, I'd probably go 7.
Okay.
Just, I mean, the audio, the visuals were great. I thought the story was good, some laughs and things like that. Nice little storyline behind it.
It's hard to top the first one.
It's
kind of based in that Route 66 kind of feel.
Yeah.
A lot of the characters are based off of people on Route 66.
Yes.
And again, YouTuber Justin Scard is kind of floating back down Route 66 as he uploads videos of him still going to Chicago. He's got so much video, I don't know how he kept up with it for so long.
Yeah. It's definitely a challenge, I'm sure. But no, it's good if you get a chance. Go check out Cars 3, and I'd definitely check it out in theaters. Just to get that big screen, all the noise and everything.
Well, it's a Disney movie, so
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Yeah. It's good. Really good. I definitely enjoyed it. So that does it for this week. It's a little bit of a shorter episode, and Brad's got some exciting
Yeah, I totally forgot.
on here.
There was kind of an announcement of the new Jurassic World movie about what it would be called. And if I click on this link, excuse me. I totally forgot to put this in the show notes. I will put it in there. But, come on, load the poster. Yeah, this makes great for... here's the name, though. It's Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Life Finds a Way is the tagline. Obviously, Ian Malcolm will be back somehow. So that's interesting to have one of the original characters kind of...
Yeah, which Dr. Malcolm is Jeff Goldblum's character.
He's so great. He's gotten weirder and weirder as time has gone on, which I didn't think was possible.
Right,
but
the guy that played The Fly. So
the first Jurassic World was so much fun. I'm so down for this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know I follow Bryce Dallas Howard on Twitter, and she's been talking. They wrapped up shooting wherever, and now they're probably in Hawaii now to begin shooting that next phase for things.
What a shame! I gotta go to Hawaii.
Yeah, jeez, I gotta go to Hawaii for work. Oh, woe is me. Yeah, but no, it's funny we talked about Ron Howard and Bryce Dallas Howard in the same episode.
Oh, yeah. Huh. That's
interesting.
There you go.
Yeah, little family connection there. But no, that does it for this week, I think.
I'm pretty sure. We'll go with it.
We'll go with it. So thank you all for listening, everybody. If you've got any comments, suggestions, or feedback, please let us know. You can email us, contact@thetechinformist.com, or simply shoot us a message on Twitter, which is @TechInformist, or you can also send me a message at Kevin Arbel or Brad @Holy_Shadows. Check us out on Instagram, Untapped, all that stuff. All those links are in the show notes, which will be available on TechInformist.com. So have a great weekend, everybody, and week until we talk next time. Consider yourself informed. We're out.
See you.